Greetings. This is Charlie Wharton, and welcome to our next edition of Creating Contentment podcast. Our goal with this effort is to try to get a head start on making the most of our opportunities. We hope to get your week started off on the right foot, and we hope to lay the groundwork for developing a contentment that can lead to abundant life. As we get started with this edition, I want to spend a little time talking about how some things have changed. You see, 30 years ago this week, my life changed and I really had no clue. During a meeting with the Pierre, South Dakota Police Department, I was introduced as their new volunteer police chaplain. I didn't really know what I was doing and they really didn't know what to do with me, so I guess we ended up being a pretty good match. The circumstances going on in this relatively small town launched the chaplaincy in motion and we never looked back. My years as a volunteer chaplain were some of the most productive I've ever had in ministry, so I invested my life into it. I was given incredible access and support, and before too long, I was ready to move to my next challenge. A few years later, I was hired as a full-time officer, and my career trajectory changed. There were several people who wondered why I had left the ministry, but in my mind, I was still in the ministry. My paychecks just came from a different agency. As I saw it, I was still helping people, just doing it in a bit of a different way. For the next 15 years, I was the police, but I never lost that love that I had for law enforcement chaplaincy. So after my retirement from active service, I was given the opportunity to get back into volunteering. And now, after a total of 30 years, I continue to be blessed by walking in between two great groups of people, the church and the law enforcement professionals. I have been blessed beyond what I could have imagined that first day I stood looking at and being stared at by the Pierre Police Department. There have been challenges, crises, and traumas, but I would be hard-pressed to change much of what I've gotten to see and what I've gotten to do. Traditionally, National Police Week is always a reflective week for me. First, because it's my anniversary week in law enforcement, but also because of the people that I've come in contact with in the last 3 decades. You see, I continue to be touched by the ultimate sacrifice our hometown heroes have made in defending our backyards. I have connections with some of those whose names are on the law enforcement memorial. I've worked with some of the friends and families of those whose names are there. So once again, as this week rolls around, I'd like to make a few observations that I've learned through the years, both as a professional and also as a volunteer. So if you're looking to make a mark on the world, here are a few suggestions. The first thing is be willing to try new things. As I look back on my life, I can see where I interacted with emergency services, but I really didn't have a very deep connection with them when I volunteered all the way back in May 1995. This was new to me and required that I venture outside my normal circle. I'm thankful I tried something new. If you're wanting to make a significant change, you may have to try something that you've never done before. If that's the case, give it a try. Just because you've never done it doesn't mean that you're not going to be good at it. You might be the right person at the right time who can have an incredible impact, and that will have an incredible impact on you as well. I think a second thing that I've learned is to find a way to serve. I was blessed to be given the opportunity, but I was also surrounded by a time and a place where the idea of service was important. I didn't get into it to earn a living. I was blessed to start as a part of a ministry of service. I've learned a lot about emergency services and law enforcement, but maybe the biggest lesson I was taught was about public service. We don't talk much about community service these days, but if you're wanting to make the most of your life, look at it as a chance to serve. When you take on that true mantle of service, you may get tired, but you're less likely to become burned out. We all have talents to be able to serve. Find yours and run with it. I think a third thing that we can do is to build relationships that help others. In all honesty, I was not the prototypical police officer, or come to think of it, I wasn't the normal preacher. In a sense, I was a hybrid that could live comfortably in two worlds. By using the individual yet diverse talents that I had, I found my niche. You may not want to serve in an either-or situation, so why not do both? You might possess a unique set of talents that can help you build community bridges. When you have that ability, you may be able to have a much greater influence. I think a third thing that I learned is you got to be willing to get messy. I grew up pretty protected and in a relatively calm environment, yet I was willing to go where I was needed to make a difference. Not only did that help the people who were in crisis, but I also believe that I helped those who were in crisis. One of my favorite images comes from Psalm 23:4, when David said, "Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me." You see, it takes a desire to walk with people through crisis. Yet when we believe in our mission and we believe in our deliverer, we can take that journey with them. Another thing that I learned was you got to keep showing up. When I look back on my time as a volunteer chaplain, I tend to remember the wins, but especially in the beginning, there were some quiet, lonely times. Not everyone believed in the program. Not everyone meshed with me. Yet I was committed enough to keep coming back week after week after week. Sure, I had a lot of support, but I decided that I wouldn't let myself give up or even take it too personally. Eventually, I think I wore them down. People won't always make things easy for us, and they won't always welcome us with open arms, especially when we're starting something new. Don't give up. Believe in your efforts and believe in yourself. Eventually, if what you do is worth it, you'll get your opportunity. A final observation is don't be afraid to ask questions. As I mentioned before, I didn't have much of a law enforcement background in the beginning, but I was willing to ask. I wanted to learn, and the best way to learn was to visit with people who were good at what they did. I'm sure I got a lot of snickers about what I asked, but eventually I got the answers, and I also got the confidence to be able to learn something new throughout the years. I remember hearing that the only silly questions are the ones that aren't asked. If we're going to impress people, we're not going to do it by making uneducated statements. We're going to be more apt to fit in by asking well-thought-out questions. I have been blessed to get to do what I've done, and working with crisis continues to bring me a sense of contentment. I'm grateful to all the people who have invested in my life throughout the years. You were patient and you were caring with me. And if I ever made a difference in people, it was because you made a difference in me. We wish you the best as you navigate your week, and we hope that you'll join us again next week for another chance to discuss ways that we can create contentment.